All right, guys. First off, as always, good day. So here we have um, the warm up. Sorry about that. Um, so go ahead, analyze the picture. Um, what do you see? Okay, so go through this, look at it from side to side, and what do you see in this picture? Oh, excuse me. So, you know, the second question is this. You see, Uncle Sam, he sees this panda over there. Um, Look at their expressions. Look at the mirror, the actual tree. And what do you think this artist is trying to say about Uncle Sam looking at the mirror and then this panda looking at the real tree? What do you think this artist is trying to say? Okay, so once you've analyzed it, once you've answered the first two questions, um, be prepared for the notes because we're going to be starting that in about a second or two. So, if you watched the last video or if you were in class last time, you may remember the first two types of economies we talked about, which was command and traditional. Today we're going to talk about market economy. Now, the market economy is basically um, what we have. It's a very interesting type of economy. Now, the thing is, your decisions as consumers act as votes. Okay, so the more votes an item gets, the more it will be produced. Because again, that's what the people want. And that's what people are going to spend their money on. There's no point of creating something that nobody's going to buy. Okay, um, so you, the consumer, play a large role in what's being made. Okay, so I would always say the example of like if everyone stopped playing an Xbox, stop buying the consoles, stop buying the controllers, stop buying the games, things like that, then Microsoft would more than likely say, you know what, okay, we're losing money hand over fist. What's the problem here? What's the issue? And if they can't figure out what it is and they're still losing a lot of money, they would eventually stop and they might go into games like virtual reality and things like that, something else, you know. They may not quit the whole gaming industry, but they might stop making the consoles if like everybody stopped um, buying the games. Same thing with any other place, PlayStation or whatever. If people stop buying stuff, Pepsi, people stop buying the soda. They would try to find something else. Maybe I don't know, maybe orange juice. I don't know, but they would try to find something else to make their money. Okay. So again, you, the consumer, play a huge role. Now with that, the good things about market economy is adjustments can happen. You know, if something is not working, they can stop making whatever the product is and go to something else. You see this all the time, especially with sodas and food products. They try new flavors, they try new things, and they try to jazz it up. And if you, the consumer, eat it and you're like, no, this sucks, and everyone basically stops eating it, they're gonna stop making it, because they're losing money. And that's the thing in the market economy. You rule. And if your money's not going to them for that particular item because it sucks, they're going to stop making it. Okay. The other good thing is there's a high degree of individual freedom. You can choose whatever you want. No one is forcing you to buy a particular item. No one is saying you have to buy this, you have to buy that. No, you get to choose what you want when you want to have it. It's up to you. Okay. Now, as a producer, as a person who creates things, they are free to make whatever they want. Yeah, I said, if somebody, like, great example, if you know about the jelly beans that have the nasty flavors, like, I'm sure there's maybe a snot flavored jelly bean, and you're like, who would eat this? You know, thing is, maybe somebody will, people won't. Maybe people just buy it for a gag. But the thing is, the makers, the producers of that, the jelly bean people, they have the freedom to make what they want. So let's say you start a company and you want to make a particular type of jeans where there's holes on the kneecaps, like it's just a straight hole, and there's unicorn design on the side, and I don't know, a little extra leg coming up the backside. I don't know, something ridiculous. You have the choice. You have that freedom to make it. Whether people buy it or not, that's something different. But you have the freedom to make whatever you want. Okay. There is a small degree of government involvement in a market economy. It's not like a command economy where the government controls everything, but the government does make sure that um, when you sell something that is not too high, not too low, that way you don't mess up any other the prices of other things. Especially if you start getting bigger, that you're not tilting the scales one way or another. Okay. Again, going back to the government, the decisions are not made in the hands of a few. They're not controlling, you know, five people controlling everything. Okay, there's not. Okay, so there's a lot of people controlling things, and unlike the command economy, it's not run by the government. It's corporations and the owners of those productions uh, companies, I should say. A large number of goods and services are available. Now, just think about where you're at. How many fast food places are there within a mile or two? Okay. And think about your whole town. How many fast food places are in the whole town? There'll be quite a bit, you know, especially if you live in a bigger city, there's quite a bit. So you have the choice to get whatever you want. You know, if you go to Target, Walmart, if you look at just the soda section, geez, there's so much soda, so much to drink. Look at water. There are so many different types of waters. It's water. Same thing, but different companies make different waters. Okay. And with all this freedom of you get to choose what you want, there is a high degree of consumer satisfaction because you are picking what you want. So that's when you get to choose what you want, you're going to be happy, believe it or not. Now, unlike the command economy, they're told what to get. This is what we're making. If you like it, get it. If you don't, tough luck. But in this type, you choose if you want to have Pepsi or Coca-Cola. You know, Domino's, Little Caesar, McDonald's, Burger King. You get to choose, okay? Because that's a market economy. Now, not everything is hunky-dory when it comes to a market economy. Um, some of the bad things are this. One, um, they don't serve the basic needs for everybody. If you have the money, your needs can be met. Okay. So again, unlike the command economy where everyone has a job, everyone has some type of income, and they can take care of themselves. This one, it's like if you don't have a job, there's no one, sometimes people go without, food, shelter, whatever it may be, because they don't have the income, you know. So that's a problem. The other thing, it doesn't provide enough service for everyone. A great example of this right now is the Popeye chicken sandwich. How many people are waiting in line for that? Some people wait like 3 hours, you know, for a chicken sandwich for crying out loud. Now the thing is, they're waiting, and sometimes we're done, we're out. Sorry, they don't have enough for everyone. Okay, so that's the problem. Okay, they can't meet the needs, or I should say, the wants of the consumers, because they only have a limited amount of the product. Um, there's a high degree of uncertainty for workers and businesses when change happens. Because some places, yeah, the people love it, they love it, they love it. And all of a sudden, something better comes up and they hate it now, or they pushed it to the side, so then it becomes oblivious, in time, so those people who worked at that company is not catching up with what people want and what the times, they get pushed back and they're forgotten in time, you know. So that's a problem, especially with new like websites and companies like that. Um, Sometimes they start off and they're doing really well, and all of a sudden, just boom, that's it, they're done. You know, so it happens. Now, the other thing with a bad thing about the market economy is they can fall if three conditions are not met. One of them is reasonable competition. In a market economy, competition is crucial. You need somebody going against them in order um, to make the prices come down. So if one company owns everything of one particular product, they can raise the prices for as high as they want. Nobody's there to challenge them. So let's say the electric company is all owned by one company in the whole United States. They can raise their prices as high as they want. What are you going to do? Are you going to attach a generator to your bike and start rolling like crazy to get the electricity in your house? No, your chances are you're not. So that's the problem. That's a problem with there's no competition. You know, there's nobody to bring them down. Because let's say there is a company up here putting the high prices for electricity, and there's another company that's putting the prices right about here. People are going to go to this place, electricity. But this one here, the prices are lower. So that's going to force either them to lower their prices or to basically just go, you know what, we're going to buy them out. And then we'll get into that with monopolies. And in this country, they try to avoid that, where this big company is going to buy out this other company and merge with them, basically take them over, especially if there's just two left. Okay. Resources must be reasonably free to move from one activity to another. So basically, like aluminum, they can't just basically go all. We're going to give it all to soda cans. Well, what about canned foods? What about them? They need aluminum. They need that metal. They need some of that. So the goods have to be distributed, especially resources. You know, things that are made from other things. They need to be distributed. The last thing, the consumer needs adequate information so they can weigh out their alternate choices and make wise decisions. So if you've ever seen The Big Bang Theory, there's one particular episode where Sheldon is basically weighing out the options between uh, Xbox One and a PS4. And he's like losing his mind because he's going back and forth about the pros and cons of each one. And this one has this one has this one has this one has this. And right when you think he has his decision, he flips to the other side because he has the information. He just is trying to balance it and try to come up with the best decision, and he can't. So it's a funny episode, but it goes to this part that you, the consumer, believe it or not, even subconsciously, you are gathering information and you're making a decision on something. So if you hear someone say, "Oh, this movie is really good," this movie is really good, and then you hear three other people say, "Oh, that movie sucked." Now in your head, believe it or not, you're actually thinking, you're weighing it out. Should I see it? Should I not? Should I wait till it comes on the TV? Things like that, or wait till Netflix. That's the thing. You're already making that decision in your head. You are doing that last one without you even realizing it. All right. So economic freedom. People get to choose. You get to choose for us. First off, your job. No one saying you have to be this, you have to be that, you can't do this, you have to do this. No. In this type of economy, you have the right to choose to be whatever you want. Okay? Another thing you have the right to choose who you work for. No one says, oh, if you work for, if you want to be a architect, you have to work for this firm. No, if you don't like it, you can go somewhere else. You can take your skills and go somewhere else. It's fine. You know, you have that right. No one's making you stay. Um, the last one is freedom to use your money how you see fit. No one is telling you you have to buy this, you have to buy that, you can't buy this, and you can't buy that. No, if you want to buy a golden unicorn made of Cheetos and Funyuns, yeah, go for it. It's your money. You do what you want with it. Is it a wise decision? I think not, but it's your money. You do with it what you want. Okay, could you use that for money for other things? Sure. My personal belief, you could use that money for other things. But if you have enough and you think you need that or you want that, that's your decision. You have that freedom. Okay. Economic efficiency. Basically, you're using resources wisely. Okay. You have to remember, guys, we do not have an unlimited amount of stuff. Okay. Never think that. We don't have an unlimited amount of fresh water. We don't. Okay. Yeah, we could take water from the ocean and clean it up, but that takes time and that takes money. We don't have an unlimited amount of wood, forest land and stuff like that. We don't. Okay. If you don't know this, which I'd be surprised if you didn't, um, trees take a long time to grow. Okay. So when you hear these companies saying, oh, yeah, we plant trees after we cut them down, it's like, well, how long do you wait to cut them down again? Do you wait 2 years, 3 years, what? You know, because that's the thing. These trees take time to grow. And just because you plant them doesn't necessarily guarantee, oh, they're going to grow to be tall and big and this and that. Not necessarily, because there are sometimes there's diseases in the soil, things like that. The trees can die, you know. So using resources wisely is key. Now, another thing is if you have a lot of waste, that means you have less goods, you have less services, and the wants and needs of the people are not met. Okay, because then that wasted material, you could have used that for something else. Okay, and that could have served needs of the people more. So it's imperative that corporations, businesses do not waste resources. Now, for economic securities, there's protection against layoffs. You know, like if you lose your job, you can get unemployment. You can, get some type of money while you're looking for another job. Protection from illnesses, you know, uh, insurance plans. They basically cover you for injuries and illnesses. Okay, depending on your insurance, also, just because you get insurance doesn't mean you're covered for everything. Okay, it depends on your insurance plan, and we will talk about that later on in this economic class. Okay, somewhere along the semester. Social Security. It's a federal program of disability and retirement benefits. Now, thing is, it says here like 90% of Americans get it or use it. Um, how much it is exactly, I have no idea, but I'm sure when I did this last year, it was somewhere around that ballpark. How much it is now, I don't know. Maybe still at 90, maybe more, maybe less. Who knows? But the thing is, you have to wait for a certain age to get Social Security. Medicare, health coverage for people 65 or older. If you have an abuelito, someone older, relative, uncle, whatever, um, they may have Medicare, and this helps them out tremendously. Okay? So here's your midpoint question. If you need to go back and look at your notes, that's fine. But if you need to pause it and go back to look at the video, that's fine too. But which of the four economic securities that we just talked about at the very end right now, do you feel is the most important to you right now? Which one's imperative to you right now as a 15 to 18-year-old student, maybe 19-year-old student? Um, and then the second question is, which one would you predict will be essential for you in 40 years? So when you're like 55 to 59 years old, you know, which one of those four would you say is going to be pretty important to you? Or which one are you going to be like, I should pay attention to this? Okay. So there's a writing prompt on the bottom. So again, pause the video, write out your answer. Okay. And we're going to move on to the notes next. So, full employment. This is basically more security for you to provide. If you have worked 40 hours a week, you're doing pretty well. You know, that's standard um, time most people, full-time workers, work. Um, Now, if you work more, okay, great. You know, and chances are you're going to make good money. You know, thing is, if you have no job, there's no way you could provide for your family, and there's no way you can get the goods and services. Okay, because again, if you have no job, that means your money is tight. You have to watch it. You have to make sure that you're spending your money wisely and that you're not just splurging and then, well, wanting to get more money. Oh, I'll get it soon. You're gambling there and it's bad. Okay. Price stability. Now, inflation, this is a rise in the general level of prices. So I've always given the example of think about when you were in middle school and how much were a bag of chips or a energy drink or some of that. And then look at the price now. Okay, about maybe 4 or 5 years later, you'll see that the price has increased. Maybe even may have just increased a dime or a quarter. Sometimes it might increase by like almost a dollar. The thing is, um, those prices go up. Most people's wages stay the same while the prices go up, and that's what inflation does. The price goes higher, and you, the consumer, has to basically decide, do I need to buy that? Okay, so more workers need more money to pay for needs. So I'm sure may know somebody who has like one or two, like 2 or 3 jobs. Excuse me. Some people may work from 8 till 4 or 5, and then become an Uber driver from 7 to 10. You know, those are hustlers. They need that money to pay basically for essential needs. And a lot of them are like parents, single parents. They need those either one good paying, high paying job, or they need to find like two jobs that pay pretty well, or three jobs that pay lower, to meet that need to take care of their kids for health, for childcare, for getting food, clothing, things like that. Then you come to fixed income people. Now, these are people whose income does not change. They're the same no matter what. A lot of times these people are retired people, and sometimes they're people who are on salary. So their income is the same no matter if they work more or if they work holidays, things like that. They may not get that extra pay. It might not be the same. They might not get a stipend check added to it. It may just still be the same. Now, for economic growth, this is basically when the economy is doing really well and people's wants actually grow. You know, for example, so if people have more money, they're like, you know what? I might trade in my car for a newer car. Um, I like my clothes, but I want to get like designer clothes, more fancier clothes. Some people might save up their money and go, you know what, let's put a down payment for a house, or, you know, um, let's go buy a boat or take a trip. Something. Their wants are higher now because they have the money to do things with it. Okay. Very rarely do people say, you know, I'm making a lot more money. I'm just gonna sit where I am at. Okay, those people are usually very frugal and they're penny pinchers. They don't want to spend their money. Um, Now, a penny pincher compared to somebody who has little to no money, that's something different. Because those people are trying to keep that money stretched as much as possible. But the people who have money and they don't want to spend a dime of it, that's a penny pincher. You know, the bad penny pinchers. But again, I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying my personal belief, that's bad. Again, you make up your own minds. Now, the thing is, the nation's wants and needs depends on the growth. Because if nobody's making money, that means there's no money for people to buy things. And if people are not buying things that they want, they're just going to stick to what they need. And their needs are the basics, which we talked about last week, and it's on the first video. Okay. And if you forgot, wants and needs. Needs are the essentials of food, shelter, and clothing. That's it. And we're not talking luxury stuff. We're talking the bare minimum, Payless, Kmart, Walmart type of clothing, some of that. Okay. So no Gucci, no Jordans, the newest pair of Jordans. No, none of that. Because that is a luxury. Because you're paying a lot more than what the prices usually are for a pair of shoes. Okay. Or some purse or shirt or whatever. Okay. Now, voluntary market. This is when buyers and sellers freely and willingly exchange market transactions. They trade in their goods for money, things like that. The thing is, traders and buyers are usually happier than when they started off, right? Because now the buyer is happy that they traded their money for something they wanted, and the seller is happy now that they got rid of that thing. Now they got money for it. So it's a nice thing that happens in our voluntary market economy. Now, this next part is one of my favorites. It's private property rights. Basically, the privilege that entitles people to own and control their possessions as they wish. Now, as some of you guys know in my class, I have those little pop figures. I love them. Okay. If I wanted to burn one of them, I could do that. That's my property. Okay. I have a receipt that says I bought that item and I can do what I want with it. Okay. Now, if somebody else took it and burned them, that's vandalism. That's destroying property and they can get in trouble. So if I do it, I can because that's my property. Somebody else does it? No, they get in trouble. Um, the other thing about private property is this: it doesn't necessarily mean tangible things. It doesn't mean like things you can like physically grab. It's other stuff. For example, skills and talents. So if you're good at something, basically you can use that to make money. Okay. So if you've ever seen the movie The Dark Knight with the Joker, he has this great line. He says, if you're good at something, never do it for free. So if you're a good artist, you can sell your talent and skill to make money. Nobody can force you saying you have to do this, you have to do that. No, you have the skill and it's your choice if you want to sell it, you know, or to basically volunteer it, you know. And people have done that. So some people, hey, they're good at hair, so they'll charge somebody 20 bucks, 30 bucks to do their hair. Somebody charges to, you know, um, paint on somebody's walls, on the mirrors for holiday decorations. Okay, that's fine. You can do that. Now, profit motive. This is the driving force that encourages and organizes organizations to improve their material well-being. So let's say there's one item you really like, whatever it be, your cell phone, your video games, or whatever. If the production of it dropped from 100% to, let's say, 10%, so the internet service is slow as dirt. You send a text message, it takes days to send. chances are you are not going to stick with that item very long. You're going to push it to the side and say, you know what, I can do better. There's something better else out there. And that's the thing. These corporations, these companies, they are trying to keep up with everything because they want you to be happy. They want you to buy their product. You know, they want you to continue using their services. So they try to keep it up as much as possible. Okay. So here is your final question. But before you begin, I want you to think to yourself like this. Remember, I told you, private property is things, skill you have, or talent, and stuff like that, or even knowledge. So the question is, do you believe that private property should be a right or a privilege? So I ask you this, if, let's say, somebody has the cure for cancer in their head, and let's say it works, should they basically be forced to give it for free? You know, it's going to help the world, things like that, or do you think they have the right to basically charge people? You know, if you want to know the secret, you got to pay $10,000. You know, um, do they have that right? What do you think? Okay, now let's say it was you. You had that the cure. Should you be able to give it? Should be forced to give it away, or should you be allowed to make a profit off of it? Okay. Now, some people in other classes were like, "Oh yeah, those people should give it." Think about the people that they could save, things like that. And then they came to be like, when I switched it and said they had that knowledge, then they were like, "Well, people should, be able to make money." So it's like once the tables were flipped to your advantage, then you switched. See? And I want you to think of it as a whole. Okay? Should private property be a right or a privilege? Should people be basically be able to do things for free, or should they be allowed to make money off of it? Okay. So once you're done with this question, you are done for the class. I do realize that this was a very long video, which I do apologize. I know I ranted on. Again, I apologize, uh, but that's it. Okay. So once you're done with this and you're done with the packet, make sure your name's on it. Make sure you put the period, the Monday, Tuesday, or sorry, Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and be sure you turn it into the basket next to the door. All right. So that's it. Hopefully you had a good class session with me right now, and hopefully you learned something new. Okay. So you guys take care. Be safe. See you in class.